Have you ever heard of the prisoner's dilemma?
Yes, that's a famous. That he won the Nobel what is that? Nash.
The Prisoner's Dilemma is a game analyzing in game theory. It is a thought experiment that challenges two completely rational agents to a dilemma. They can cooperate.
Two members of the lower.
Oh, okay, there you go. Okay, here's
two members of a criminal gang.
Yeah, you go ahead and read it.
Hell no, I can't.
Two members of a criminal gang, A and B, are arrested and imprisoned. Each prisoner is in solitary confinement with no means of communication with their partner. The principal charge would lead to a sentence of 10 years in prison. However, the police do not have evidence for the conviction. Their plan is to sentence both to 2 years in prison on a lesser charge, but offer each prisoner a Faustian bargain. If one of them confesses to the crime of the principal charge betraying the other, they will be pardoned and free to leave, while the other must serve the entirety of the sentence instead of just 2 years for the lesser charge. This leads to a possible of 4 different outcomes. Number 1, if A and B both remain silent, they will each serve the lesser charge of 2 years in prison. B, if A betrays B, if A betrays B but B remains silent, A will be set free and B will serve 10 years. Option number 3, if A remains silent but B betrays A will serve 10 years, but B will be set free. Option number 4, if A and B both betray each other, they share the sentence and share 5 years each. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. So most prisoners, what do they choose out of these 4 options, Matt?
Like 90-95%.
They probably both snitch on each other, right?
No, the problem is that scenario doesn't necessarily really work in the real world, because if I snitch on you, who do you snitch on? They're like, we already got you.
Yeah, they don't
need you to
They're
say
not
anything.
giving you both 5 years. Yeah, they just need one person to snitch.
Right, now you're doing 10.
Yeah.
I'll walk away, you do 10.
Yeah.
I put money on your books.
So it's just the first one that snitches.
Right.
But in this scenario where there's
Gotta
2
be
people
first.
like this, it's usually there's always 99% of the time somebody snitches.
It's probably 90-95%. Here's the problem, is that the statistics say that it's like 87-88%, but the problem with that is that doesn't mean that the other guys did, that only 88% cooperated. It means that 88% got the cooperation. So you and I both might have cooperated, right? But I get the cooperation and they say, yeah, you did tell on him, but that was 3 days later and you're the kingpin.
Too late.
It's too late. This guy is going to give you up and you're the bigger fish. So you don't get any cooperation. You're doing 10 years. He's going free. And by the way, almost nobody goes free. Like you're probably still doing 2 years.
Still doing it too, yeah.
Right. Which is better than 5 and it's better than 10.
Yeah.
Right. And you were even beyond any of these options because you were aggressively going out and seeking opportunities to rat people out in prisons, people that you had no involvement with.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. That's actually not true. By the way, that's not what happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was just writing stories. Like this guy, at one point I'm walking around the compound with him and he says
he asked you if he could trust you.
Yeah.
At least you were honest.
Keep in mind, I
love that.
I had just gotten back from getting 7 years off my sentence for cooperation.
Yeah.
And then I come back a month or so later, I'm walking around the compound with this guy who's also cooperating against his co-defendants. And he keeps saying, he ran a Ponzi scheme. His name was Ron Wilson. And he kept saying, they're never going to give me any cooperation. I'm like, yeah, these guys are going to arrest these guys. They're going to indict them. They're going to plead guilty. You're going to be fine. They're going to reduce your sentence. Nah, you don't understand. I was like, well, what are you talking about? And he goes, they think I hid Ponzi scheme money. And I'm like, well, they'd have to find the Ponzi scheme money. And you didn't. I said, did you? And he's like, no. And I go, well, right. So you didn't hide it. They'd have to find it, prove that you were lying in order to not give you something. And he said, no, they're going to fuck me out of the cooperation. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, well, that's not possible. And if it is, then we'll get this. There was a guy, Frank Amadeo. Frank will.
Matt, scoot that way. Just here.
Oh, sorry. Good. Frank will
get you.
Yeah, Frank will get them, force the government to reduce your sentence. So that goes on. And then let's say 2 weeks later, comes up again. And then a month later, it comes up again. I go, you keep saying this. Like, they would have to find the money. And I said, there's no money, so that's not going to happen. And he sat there and we were walking and he goes, can I trust you? And I went, probably not. And he goes, I did hide some money. I gave, my wife, I gave her, it was like $150,000. He's like, but the problem is since then, she found out he was having an affair. And we're getting a divorce. She hates my guts. My fear is she's going to turn the money in just so I don't get any time off my sentence. And he said, and my brother's got like 30 grand. I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's not even like 200,000. It's like less than 200,000. And I didn't, like, it fell in my lap and I didn't do anything right away. That's what I always, listen, I always feel bad about that. I always feel like, you're an idiot. You should have immediately gone to the phones. But I didn't, because I thought
Picture Matt running to the phone after that.
Right there, like in the middle, he just says it.
Frank!
And I go, what? And then I just start running, doing like the windmill all the way to the phone.
Frank, meet me at the phone.
But what happened was, I remember thinking, the government didn't want to reduce my sentence the first time when they promised to. So like, they're not, like, first of all, they're not going to do anything for this. This is a couple $100,000. And that's if they go there and these people admit it. And I doubt they will. So I was like, well, listen, they're not going to say anything. Don't worry about it. And so we have the conversation. No big deal. Like a month later, my lawyer was supposed to send me my transcripts from when I'd been resentenced. She never did. So I call her. Hey, what's up? I said, you never sent the transcripts. He's like, oh, Matt, I'm so sorry. I'll do it. And whatever. Okay, fine.
You got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, right. So we're talking. So I said, okay, that's cool. Well, please don't forget. She said, no, I will. I'm going to send them. I'm going to go on right now. Okay. And so we're talking. And she goes, and she says, so what's going on? And I go, well, what do you mean? She says, what's happening in there? Anything happening? And I thought, like, this woman never wanted to talk to me.
Yeah.
When she was representing me, she didn't want to talk to me. She damn sure doesn't now. Her job's done.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, anything happening? And I went, no. Like, and I went, well, something weird happened the other day. Listen to this. And she goes, what's the guy's name? I told her what happened. She goes, what's his name? I go, Ron Wilson. She looks him up. Ron Wilson. She goes, oh, wow. This is a big deal. There's a lot of articles. Oh, this is a bad guy. Well, he's got like 900. He's got like 900 victims. Like, he stole from churches and stuff. And she's going on and on. Like, I don't know. I've never ordered anything on the guy. And she's like, oh, wow. She's like, yeah. She goes, let me make a couple calls. And I was like, okay. Like, she never really wanted to help.
Just chatted you up.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. I hang up the phone. I don't even think about it again. A week later, a correctional officer comes up to me and he goes, hey, Cox. And I go, yeah, what's up? He goes, next move, you got to go to SIS. Now, SIS is internal security, right? Like, they're the Special Investigative Services, and they investigate like the other cops. They do like investigations against like people bringing in drugs, whatever. And I was like, okay. Or if you're cooperating, like against other inmates, will cooperate against each other, or whatever the case may be. Cell phones. Like, hey, that guy's got a cell phone. They snitch on it, whatever. And I was like, okay. So I go there thinking they just caught something in the mail. Open the door. They go stand in that room. I'm like, okay. I walk in. I walk in the room. There's a fat CO there, and he goes, sit down. I'm like, okay. Dials the. This is how they talk to you. Sit down. All right. They dial the phone. Yeah, I got him right here. All right, hold on. Here, talk to this guy. I'm like, okay. Like, he didn't tell me shit.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Guy goes, this is Agent, whatever. I remember his last name was Griffin. This is Tom. I think it's Tom Griffin. He goes, this is Tom Griffin with the Secret Service. I understand that you know where Ron Wilson hid some Ponzi scheme money. I'm like, woo.
Oh, shit.
I said, whoa. I need something in writing. I need, he's like, yeah, no, I'll get you something in writing. Well, what do you have? I said, no. Like, yeah, you guys have fucked me multiple times. And I was like, no, I need something in writing. I explain it to him. I need something in writing from the U.S. attorney. And I said, listen, it's not millions. He goes, well, how much is that? I go, it's not millions. He goes, $500,000? I go, it's not millions, okay? It's a few $100,000, but I do know where it is, and the people, Wilson seems to think that they're going to give it up if you even ask for it. And he goes, okay, I'll get you something. So we end up emailing each other. He gets me something from the U.S. Attorney's Office saying that they will reduce my sentence if there are arrests or if there's an indictment, arrest, or a significant amount of money is recovered. You know, that's pretty subjective.
Whatever that's supposed to be.
Right. So I explained, this is what he told me. They turn around, they request interviews from both of those people, from the wife, who at that point they're getting, I don't know if they were divorced yet, but they were getting divorced, and his brother. His wife comes in and turns over, remember he said $150,000 in cash. She comes in and turns over $350,000. The brother comes in the next day and walks in and turns in $150,000, so it's $500,000, and some of it's like silver, ingots, and because he was a precious metals dealer. So she's got fucking gold coins. She's got so it's mostly cash, but there's also probably $100,000 between the two of them in gold and silver and whatever. So it's $500,000, and oh my God, this is horrible. Listen, like a couple weeks later, Wilson comes to me and he goes, "They indicted me." I'm like, "No, they indicted you?" He's like, "Yeah." Like, that's crazy. For what? My wife. They called my wife and my brother. How did they know? I don't know. Like, that's crazy. And he's like, "Yeah, I've been indicted." And I'm like, "Okay." And so they put him on a bus, bring him back to South Carolina. He pleads guilty because he's done, and he gets 6 months added onto his sentence. His ex-wife gets like 6 months probation, and the brother gets like 6 months probation, and like I think the wife got 100 community service hours. Like, neither one of them became felons. It was their sentence was under a year. So you're in the federal system. If it's over a year, you're a felon. If it's under, you're not. So both their sentences were under. They're both, and it was for obstruction of justice. They were charged with obstruction of justice. So was Wilson. Wilson got 6 months. He already had 19 and a half years. Now he's got 20. Turn around, go to the U.S. attorney. "Hey, you said you'd reduce my sentence. If there was a substantial amount of money recovered, arrests, or indictments," there was all of those. Immediately come back and they say, "Look, we'll reduce your sentence. We'll give you," I forget what it was, 1 level off. We argue. We end up with 3 levels off, which was 5 more years. 6 months later, I get 5 years knocked off my sentence.